Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a full face of e.l.f. makeup, and I specifically wanted to try a new product. This is the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. It is a full coverage, broad spectrum SPF of 30 CC cream, and I have heard rumors that this is kind of their answer to the it CC cream, which if you've ever used before is definitely full coverage. It's kind of very different than what you would think about when you think about CC creams. When I think about CC creams, I'm thinking more like tinted moisturizers, but I find that the IT Cosmetics one specifically is almost like putty. I mean, it covers everything. So I'm very interested to see whether this is a true dupe for that product or it's very, very different. But I'm a big fan of e.l.f. If you've never used the brand, it stands for eyes, lips, and face. And they have a lot of good quality products, some duds, but a lot of good quality products at a very reasonable price point. You can find this brand at Ulta and most pharmacies and grocery stores as well. So we're gonna start. I pulled out a bunch of e.l.f. makeup that I already own. I do have a few new products as well that I bought with this that I'm excited to try out. But we're gonna start with an oldie but a goodie. For my primer, I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Now this comes with a few different finishes. I think they have a luminizing primer and they have a mattifying primer. This is the original. I love this product. I've owned this for a while. You can see I'm getting close to being done with it. But what I really like about this product is that it really helps kind of mattify and hold my oil. I have combination oily skin, so I usually use primers right in that T-zone, right where I'm going to get, you know, breakthrough of my oil. And I think this does a nice job. I do think this helps my makeup last longer as well. It also has a nice finish to it. It doesn't feel gritty or greasy on my face. Some people say this is a dupe for the Tatcha Silk Canvas. I can't stand the Tatcha Silk Canvas. It makes me an oil slick within an hour. So as much as maybe this is a dupe for that, I don't think so. I like this much better than that product. I do not have an e.l.f. eye primer, so I just reached one for my collection. This is from MAC. This is their paint pot in the shade Painterly. A lot of people love this product, but I'm just gonna go ahead and stick this on my eyes. I like using eye primers because I have oily lids and I have pigmented lids. So anything that's going to A, keep my eyeshadow on longer, and B, help camouflage some of that pigmentation on my lids is a good product for me. So this is, like I said, that new product. This is that Camo CC Cream. Okay, well, it's quite thick. If you can see that, it's quite thick. It says you can use 1 to 2 pumps. I'm gonna start with 1 because I have a feeling this is gonna be very full coverage. I'm just gonna give myself some leopard spots. Now, everyone puts on foundation differently, right? I like to use a brush more often than not, but I have used my fingers. I do reach for a sponge or a beauty blender some of the time as well. But right now, I'm just gonna reach for a trusty foundation brush that I love. This one, I think is from, oh, this is a Morphe. This is a Jaclyn Hill and Morphe. I have a bunch of different ones. All right, well, this is pretty, I would say, medium up to full coverage. I mean, I'm sure I could build it to make it crazy full coverage, but I would call this medium to full coverage. There are definitely, I have some hyperpigmentation spots from old acne that are not covered by this, but in general, it's covering up my redness. It feels really nice on the face. It's not too greasy, it's not too anything. It's got a little bit of a shine to it, but I would call it a natural finish. I'm not like a disco ball or anything, which I cannot stand. I actually tried a foundation that I'll put in my January faves and fails that I think is gonna be a huge fail for me because it just makes me look like I am shining from outer space. So So that, yeah, that's pretty good coverage. That I would call that medium to full coverage. It feels nice on the face. It's not accentuating pores or fine lines, so I will take that. Concealer. All right, well, I am reaching for the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I have very mixed feelings about this concealer. Everyone loves it. I have tried and tried and tried it, and what I've learned is that it is very full coverage, and I think that's why people love it so much. It reminds me of Tarte Shape Tape, which again, really, really good concealer, very full coverage, but I almost wish Tarte Shape Tape had a warning label on it that said don't use after 35, because it is very drying. It starts to crack. It makes your under eyes look very crepey, at least mine. And I have talked to countless women over 35 who have had similar experiences. I feel like this reminds me of that. I like it, but you have to use the smallest amount, and it is not forgiving. So if you use even a tiny bit too much, it will let you know. So I'm gonna see if I can make this work, see if I put the exact amount. I got my damp beauty blender here to help, and we'll just have to see, because if I use too much, this cracks on me in like 2 minutes, which is just a bummer, because it is got a beautiful consistency to it. It is very full coverage, as you can see. So there are a lot of reasons to like this. I just find that it's just so unforgiving. And I have a few other concealers, including drugstore concealers, that are a little bit more idiot proof, I guess, or foolproof. And so I find that I tend to reach for those more often, just because I just don't want that kind of stress in my life a lot of the time. So, all right, let's take a look. Okay, that's pretty much blended in. Let's see how we do. Now, I have to set concealer. Like I said, I have combination oily skin. I have yet to find a concealer that I don't have to set. But again, I have to be so careful with this one, because if I use a tiny bit of too much powder, it ends up too much. This is another it's new to me product that I picked up from the e.l.f. website. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I've heard very good things about this. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try. Another shout out, I've used this forever. This is the e.l.f. Blush Brush, and I love it for setting my under eye. It's just like the perfect size for setting my under eye. All right, guys, you ready? So I just took the tiniest bit on my brush. Okay. All right, I may have pulled it off. may have pulled off the tiniest bit of concealer, but we'll see what happens over the next few minutes, because that's gonna make or break everything. So I'm next gonna reach for and just set the foundation. I do, again, have to set my foundation just because of my oily skin. So I concentrated that on my T-zone. Okay. I didn't use any concealer on some spots on my face. I just, you know, when I'm using something like a CC cream, I'm not going to a wedding. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So yeah, I love this coverage. This looks really nice. Covers up my redness, covers up most of my spots that I'm trying to cover up, doesn't accentuate fine lines. I'm actually quite happy with this. So I guess it's a question of how it's gonna age over the day, but I'm really liking this look. All right, next, I'm gonna reach for bronzer. Now, believe it or not, I do not own a single e.l.f. bronzer. So I reached for another drugstore bronzer that I absolutely love with. This is from Milani. This is their Silky Matte Bronzer in the shade Sunlight, which is 01, which is the lightest shade they have in this bronzer. I'm a big fan of a lot of drugstore bronzers, but this one especially is just beautiful. A lot of folks thinks this is a dupe for the new Charlotte Tilbury bronzer that just was launched in 2020. I have not tried that bronzer, so I can't tell you as much, but this just gives a really nice effect. And I have to be very careful with some bronzers. I do not have an ounce of yellow in my skin. I have a neutral to cool skin tone, and a lot of bronzers look orange on me. So I have to be quite careful with the bronzers that I'm using because I have no desire to look orange. So, all right, just kind of bringing some life back to the face. And then for blush, I've got a few of these e.l.f. primer infused blushes. I love these. This is in the shade Always Cheeky. I have the pink version of this too. It's like Always Pinky or Always Punchy, something like that. And I love that one as well. But I reach for this. This is kind of like almost like a mauve-y, almost like a coral or peachy. The other blush that I had to use, I love these. If you haven't tried these are great. I'm going to use the highlighter from this. But these are their duos, their little blush and highlighter duos. This is in the shade Lychee. They have a watermelon that's really pretty as well. But I figure I'll reach for this because this is definitely an oldie but a goodie. It's something I reach for all the time. So let's get me a blush brush here. All right, I am a big fan of matte blushes. Don't get me wrong, I like a little sparkle, but you know, when you've got some texture, you got to be so careful with that. And I'd much rather use a matte blush and then rely on my highlighter in very specific spots to help. Okay, so that gives that nice kind of peachy look. It's not patchy, it goes on really easily. Yeah, I'm a big fan of these primer infused blushes. If you haven't used these, I would highly recommend them. And then for highlight, like I said, I'm gonna reach for one of these duos in Lychee and grab my highlighter brush. And I am just going to just do a little bit right on top. Oh, well, I think I had a little bit of blush on that brush. That's okay. Yeah, that gives a nice sheen. It's not accentuating my texture. Obviously, I kind of made a little mistake on that side, but it's amazing what a little blending will do. All right, well, I'll just have to be a little bit blushier. I'm gonna add some blush on this side to even myself out here. All right. And then moving on to eyes. So if you have not tried these, run out and grab them. These are the bite-size eyeshadows from e.l.f. These are $3 a piece. They are amazing. I highly, highly recommend them. There's a bunch of different shades. I bought a bunch. This is the cream and sugar. This is the pumpkin pie, which is my favorite. It's what I'm going to be using today. This is rose water, which is also quite nice. And then there's this berry bad, which I also really like. There's a few others as well, but they didn't speak to me nearly as much as these. Like I said, I'm gonna reach for this pumpkin pie. This is just right up my alley. I love bronzes. I love all of that look. I laughed. I was watching a different YouTuber, Pampered Wolf, who's out of Great Britain. And if you haven't watched her, she's amazing. But she talked about these e.l.f. bite-sized shadows, and especially this pumpkin pie version, and her best makeup of 2020. And I laughed because she said one of her problems with this is that it doesn't have a light like champagne shade that she would like to use, you know, in her, about either brow bone or on her lid. And I laughed because one of my gripes, not necessarily with this one, but some of the others, like, let's see, I think it's the rose water one. Yeah, the rose water. No, that's very bad. Where's my rose water? Ah, the rose water is that it has one of those champagne shades that she's talking about, but it doesn't have a dark matte. And one of the reasons I like this is because of the dark matte. I like putting dark mattes on my outer V, and I get annoyed when I don't have one and I have to go reach for something. So some of these other ones, like that rose water, don't get me wrong, I love this, but I feel like I need another dark matte, where it just made me chuckle. It just shows that everyone has different wants and needs associated with, you know, the makeup they're using. All right, so let's take a look at this pumpkin pie. I'm gonna first use this kind of, you know, matte bronze as my transition shade. It's a little dark for a transition shade, but you know, I'm trying to make a kind of a statement here. And I'm gonna, you know, take off the excess. So, you know, you can use a lighter transition shade, but I'm trying to kind of make a statement a little bit here. Yeah, I kind of overdid on the blush, y'all, but that's okay. We can fix that. All right. All right, so then I'm gonna go in with this dark, this dark matte shade here for my outer V. Like I said before, I'm a big proponent of dark matte shades. And again, brushing off the excess. And I'm just placing this within that outer V. And then I'm working it in and working it up almost to my brow bone, leaving a little bit of space, but, and I'm placing and then I'm blending, because you want to place it where you want it to go, but then you got to blend it so it doesn't look like this big smear of shadow. And some people will put tape here. I've done that in the past. I'm not doing it today. Nothing ever has to be perfect. All right, and we'll just do that other side. Again, I'm placing. And then blending. All right, trying to make both sides match. Okay, now for my lid shade, I think I'm gonna go into this lighter coppery. These are both pretty dark, but I'm gonna reach for that lighter of the coppery. Now you can use your finger for this. I still like to use a lid brush because I have very fat, stubby fingers. And I find I get better control when I use lid brush. Again, I'm placing the shadow on the lid, and then, all right. And you don't obviously want to go all the way across because you don't want to mess up that nice blending you just did. All right, and then we got to blend it all out. So just like to use a good big blending brush and quickly blend out my lid, but then spend most of my time up here. So again, it doesn't look like I used a big blob of shadow. Okay, I'm very happy with that look. I am just gonna drag it a little bit across my lower lid. You can use a blending brush for this and just like pinch it like that. That's a technique a lot of folks use. I'm gonna use my transition shade to do that. You can also use a smudge brush or a pencil brush to do the same technique. It's really about what you got available to you. Well, the concealer has not cracked yet, y'all, so that makes me happy. I'm just taking care of any fallout. All right, so I want to just grab and do my brows very quickly. Oh, I lost my brow pen. All right. So I picked up this as well. This is the Instant Lift Brow Pencil. This is like $2. And it's, you know, it's got a spoolie on the end, which is wonderful. This is a great brow pen if you are not trying to reinvent the wheel in regards to your brows. If you have to recreate your brows, this is pretty thick to do that. It's a little fat. You may enjoy a thinner brow pencil or a pointier brow pencil, but for me, for $2, this is actually a really, really nice brow pencil. Again, I tend to just try to fill in where I have sparse brows right at the corners, and then just kind of sweep it across. So I am not trying to, like I said, reinvent the wheel with my brow pencil here. I am lucky in that my brows are actually pretty full, but again, the second I say that out loud, I find that they tend to get more and more sparse. And I have noticed in my 40s that I am getting more and more sparse areas. So but this is a great, if you're just looking for a simple brow pencil, and like I said, you're not trying to create a brow that you do not have, this is a really easy and quick brow pencil, and it's a great consistency. It's not too chalky. You know, some brow pencils are super chalky, almost like a pencil lead. This is a little jelly, but it's easy to work with. It doesn't smear everywhere. It's a really nice find. And then finally, well, I'm gonna curl my eyelashes, and then we're gonna move on to our lips. So I'm just gonna curl these. All right. I almost forgot to talk about mascara. This is also another new product from e.l.f. This is their Lash Out Loud volumizing mascara. Now, I have used this once before. I'm gonna be perfectly frank with you. It's okay. I don't think of e.l.f. when I think of mascaras. This is one of those kind of rubbery wands. I don't think of e.l.f. when I think of mascara. There are a lot of great drugstore brands that are killing it when it comes to mascara. I think of Maybelline, Revlon, CoverGirl, but e.l.f. is definitely not on that list. And yeah, this is okay. I'm already starting to deal with clumping. It's just not separating and lengthening the way I need it to. My lashes, I have long lashes, but they are very thin. So I need something that's going to thicken them, curl them, and they clump really, really easily. So this, I can already see it's just not separating the way I need it to. And it's okay. It's okay. But at this price point, there are better mascaras out there. And then lastly, let's talk about lips. So I find in this climate, in regards to mask wearing, quarantine, the pandemic, I find that I'm either reaching for one of two lip products. I'm either reaching for a long wearing liquid lipstick that is gonna set and not move, or I am reaching for like just a colored or tinted lip balm or lip stain, something that is easy, that I know is gonna rub off, but maybe doing something for my lips. So I grabbed this from, again, the e.l.f. website. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shine. So this is basically a tinted lip balm. So what I think is so cute, I don't know if you can see this, but it's got this little core heart that I think has kind of the good stuff in it in regards to nourishing your lips. And then the stain is on the outside edge. And this is in, what is this? Oh, this is in the shade Happy. This is just a good, you know, your lips but better, kind of mauve. You know, when I think of my lips but better, my lips have this kind of natural mauve look versus like a pinky look. And so I tend to reach for these mauves more than I reach for pinks. So this feels really nice on the lips. What I like about it is it does have quite a bit of tint to it, which is great. And it feels nice. Do I think this is gonna stay? No. I think it's going to be gone, you know, quickly. But I do enjoy it on my lips. It's doing what it needs to do. I'm not asking it to do something it can't do. So I do recommend this. So I'm gonna All right, so this is the finished look. I'm just gonna take my hair out. My initial thoughts for the new products. I am really interested to see how this wears on my skin because it's got a gorgeous finish. It's got good coverage and it feels good. So we'll see how it wears for the rest of the day, but I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful for this. Love this pencil. This is another shout out. This is just such an inexpensive way to get the look you're trying to get without, you know, making it too difficult. I also love these primer infused blushes. Now I went a little heavy handed with my blush today, so a little does go a long way. So I have to remember that. And then of course, love the Poreless Putty Primer and love, love, love these eyeshadows. They have been talked about on the internet over and over and over again. These are absolutely a must-have and very inexpensive to boot. I like this powder. It is finely milled. It is quite glowy, and I struggle sometimes with glowy powder. So I'm gonna have to keep trying this and kind of make decisions from there. And then of course, you know, the e.l.f. concealer, it worked for me today. I have not cracked yet, but I worry about an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So we'll just have to see. And then if you're looking for a good tinted lip balm, this is a good choice. Again, inexpensive, feels good on the lips, has a nice bit of pigment to it, but not trying to reinvent the wheel here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you stay to watch some of my more of my content. And if you like what you see, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button down below. And I hope to see you again soon in my next video. Bye guys.